There is something almost everyone with hearing discomfort does first. They reach for a bottle, a small dropper, a topical solution that promises fast relief. It feels logical. The ear is right there. You can touch it. So you treat what you can see. But what if the real problem is somewhere you cannot reach with a drop? This is not a question most people think to ask. And that silence, that unquestioned habit, may be one of the most overlooked gaps in how we approach ear and hearing wellness today. Because here's what the science is beginning to reveal. The health of your hearing system is not determined only by what happens inside the ear canal. It is shaped by what is happening deeper, inside your bloodstream, inside your auditory nerve, inside the cellular environment where sound signals are processed, translated, and sent to your brain. And no drop, no matter how precisely administered, reaches any of that. Let that settle for a moment. Most people assume hearing health is a local problem. Something in the ear goes wrong, so you treat the ear directly. That assumption feels reasonable. But the auditory system is not isolated. It is one of the most neurologically connected sensory systems in the human body. The tiny hair cells inside your cochlea depend on stable blood flow, controlled oxidative stress, and a well-functioning nervous system to do their job properly. When any of those factors become compromised through aging, chronic noise, long-term stress, or nutritional gaps, the consequences do not stay local. They spread inward quietly over time. And that is where the real problem begins. By the way, tell me in the comments where you are watching from, and whether you or someone close to you has ever dealt with unexplained hearing discomfort, ringing, or a sense of sound just not being as sharp as it used to be. I would genuinely like to hear from you. Now, back to the question at the center of this conversation. Eardrops are a legitimate tool for certain conditions. Canal blockages, minor infections, excess wax. In those cases, topical support makes complete sense. But when we talk about the broader picture of hearing clarity, auditory nerve function, and the kind of gradual, systemic decline that so many adults experience after their 40s and 50s, topical application simply cannot address what is happening at the source. Think about what the inner ear actually requires to function well. It requires oxygen-rich circulation reaching the cochlea. It requires antioxidant protection at the cellular level because the hair cells of the inner ear are extraordinarily vulnerable to oxidative damage. It requires a nervous system that is not chronically overloaded because the auditory nerve does not operate in isolation from your overall neurological state. And it requires specific micronutrients that support healthy signal transmission between the ear and the brain. None of that arrives through a dropper, but here's where it gets interesting. Research into nutritional support for auditory health has been quietly building for years. Studies have looked at the relationship between oxidative stress and cochlear hair cell degradation. Others have examined how poor circulation to the inner ear correlates with increased vulnerability to noise-related damage. And a growing body of evidence points to the idea that certain botanical compounds and targeted nutrients may support the internal environment where hearing clarity is actually maintained. This is not about replacing professional care. It is not about dismissing the role of audiologists or otolaryngologists. What this is about is understanding that the ear is not a sealed system. It is a living, biologically complex organ deeply connected to your brain, your nervous system, and your vascular health, and supporting it from the inside. Through the bloodstream, through cellular protection, through nervous system wellness is a strategy that external treatments simply cannot replicate. What most people do not realize is that hearing decline rarely announces itself dramatically. It tends to move slowly, a little more effort to follow conversations, sounds that feel slightly duller than they used to, a faint ringing that appears at night when everything else is quiet. These are not random inconveniences. They are often early signals from a system under pressure, a system asking for support that a topical solution was never designed to provide. The surprising part is how many people continue reaching for the same external remedies while the deeper issue continues to build. Not out of carelessness, but simply because no one has clearly explained what internal auditory support actually means, or why it might matter more at this stage. That is the gap this channel exists to fill. So what does internal ear support actually look like in practice? It starts with understanding which nutrients have shown relevance in the research, compounds that support antioxidant activity in the inner ear, ingredients that support healthy circulation to the cochlear region, botanicals that have been studied for their potential role in nervous system calmness and cognitive clarity. And when these elements are combined thoughtfully, they address the biological environment of hearing health in a way that no drop ever could. If you have been looking for something that works at this deeper level, there is a natural support option we have highlighted near the end of this video. It is designed to support hearing clarity, ear wellness, and nervous system health from within, not as a treatment, but as a daily wellness tool for those who take their auditory health seriously. You can find the link in the pinned first comment below this video. The question was never really drops versus capsules. The real question is whether you are addressing the surface or the source, whether you are managing symptoms in the canal or supporting the biological system that makes hearing possible in the first place. And when you understand the full picture, the role of the auditory nerve, the cochlear hair cells, the blood-brain-ear connection, and the quiet accumulation of oxidative pressure over decades, the answer becomes less about which product to reach for and more about which level of support actually makes sense. Hearing is not just about the ears. It never was. It is about the entire internal ecosystem that keeps those ears connected to your mind, your awareness, and your world. And that ecosystem responds to what you give it from within. Start paying attention to that. Because the earlier you do, the more clarity you preserve,